Welcome back to the Reload Bench. This video will be the conclusion of 3 tests. I was evaluating Belleville C790 ST waterproof steel-toed flight and combat boots. I was comparing Alpaca wool socks to other socks in a durability test. And I was evaluating Ener-Gel insoles. I started wearing the Belleville C790 steel-toed boots on February 3rd, 2024. And the last day I wore them was July 3rd, 2025. That was about 2.5 months ago. The reason I stopped wearing them is because on the left boot, a crack developed in the sole. So I thought it was time to stop wearing them because that's only going to get worse. Otherwise, the boots are in great shape. The suede is held up despite the fact that you can see all the stains here from, well, pretty much everything. I've even got yellow spray paint on these boots. But the soles are in pretty good shape with the exception of the left boot here. The wear on the heel really isn't that bad. The tread is still intact. You see the Cordura nylon is in good shape. There's no problems with the stitching or anything else like that. There's no separation of the boot from the sole. If I show the right boot here, you can see it's got fuzzies from setting around. It's all stained up from oil and paint and all kinds of things, but it's held up really well. You see the sole on this is pretty good, but it was time to stop wearing them. I wore these boots to work almost every day over the course of 1 year and 5 months. And in the past, with other Belleville boots, I've got between 1 and 2 years life out of every pair that I've owned. And I haven't been disappointed with any of them. Some people might think that 1 to 2 years for a pair of boots isn't a long time, but I put my boots through a lot. I've been happy with every pair of Belleville boot that I've owned. And these are right there in the middle as far as the lifespan of previous boots. So I would recommend the Belleville C790 ST boot for anybody who works in an industrial environment, somebody who wants comfortable boots that will provide protection with the steel toe. Also, these have an EH rating if that's something you have to have for work. These are definitely good work boots. They're also good outdoor boots. If you do hiking, hunting, if you're going over rocky surfaces, these boots are really good for that. Now, they're not insulated, so they may not be as warm in the winter as some other boots, but they worked just fine for me. I'm probably not going to have another pair of these, though, because I've got 3 other pair of Belleville boots waiting off camera for me to try out. One of them is a model of Belleville boot that I've owned several of in the past. It's kind of my go-to boot. So this was a good experiment to do, and I'm very happy with these boots, and I'm happy with Belleville boot overall. They offer American-made quality boots, and I would recommend them to anybody who needs a good work boot or a good outdoor boot. PAKA Apparel reached out to me and asked if I would like to evaluate some of their socks. So I agreed, and they sent me a few pair for free. What I got for the test was this pair of crew socks in Andean moss, kind of a green color. I also got some ankle socks for my wife, mostly because they came in a 3-pack and they were in different colors. And what I really wanted to do in the video was show somebody the different colors and styles available without asking for too many socks from them. I also decided to put my own kind of spin on it, and I decided to purchase 2 more pair of their crew socks in light gray and dark gray, once again to show the different colors, and so I had more of their products to evaluate. I ordered these separately, and PAKA Apparel did not know that they were going to be part of the same test. As a matter of fact, I sat on everything for months before I even shot the unboxing video. I also wanted to try to compare alpaca wool socks, which this is my first time wearing alpaca wool socks, to merino wool socks. So I tried out or I included in the test 2 different merino wool socks, as well as another pair of alpaca wool socks from a different company. I also threw in some socks that I got from Thunder on the Prairie a couple years ago that aren't wool or they're not merino or alpaca wool at all. I just kind of threw them in there as just something a little bit different, just to see what sort of durability I would get out of these socks. And for the most part, I wore them with the same pair of boots, mostly at work or when I was hiking. Every now and then I would just wear the socks around the house, or even walk out in the yard wearing the socks, or maybe even wear them with my water shoes. But for the most part, it was just in the 1 pair of boots that was in this test. So I tried to wear them as evenly as possible, or try to make sure that I didn't wear 1 pair in one kind of environment and not the others. And I tried to give a fair evaluation to all of the socks. So I literally wrote down on paper every time I wore them, what day it was, what conditions I wore them under, and then when I washed them. When I washed them with cold water, and I used Tide, different variations of Tide detergent, or the Members Mark detergent from Sam's Club, or Dead Downwind laundry detergent. This is during hunting season. I actually wore some of these while hunting. So in the same 1 year and 5 month period that I was wearing these with the Belleville boots, I managed to wear out 3 of the 7 pair that I have here on the reload bench. So I've already done an update video where I talked about the Midway USA merino wool socks that wore out. The next pair to wear out were these Browning socks. They don't make this particular style anymore, or at least this pattern anymore. I was really surprised at how comfortable these socks were. This isn't something I would ordinarily buy. Like I said, I got these kind of as a gift, and I thought it would be fun to evaluate them. You can see in the heel on both socks, some holes wore through. I was able to wear these 35 times, and I washed them 34 times. So these actually did better than I thought. And I've got another pair right here that I can wear. The next one to wear out, or the last one to wear out, the one that right around the same time that I concluded the test, was actually the PAKA dark gray crew socks. So you can see there is a thin spot in this heel, and on the other there is a hole. Now, I really tried to wear these more than some of the other socks. I really tried to wear out the PAKA socks first. I really wanted, I don't want to say I wanted them to fail. I wanted to see if they would fail first. And they were the 3rd one to fail. So these were actually more durable than I thought. I didn't go easy on these things at all. Something about them too is you can see here's their logo here at the top of the sock on the Andean wool sock, or the Andean moss sock. You can see the stitching and stuff like that. It all held together. I mean, these socks are actually more durable than one might think, but they can wear out. So these I was able to wear 56 times and wash 56 times. And the day that, or the morning that I went to go put these on and there was a hole in them, that afternoon is when I noticed the crack in the heel, or the split in the heel of the boots. So these gave out the same time the boots did. The other 2 pair are intact. They're a little faded, or not. I did not notice this. Here's the light gray. I missed this entirely. There's a hole in the heel. There's a thin spot in the heel. How about on the other one? And it's worn thin, but there's no hole on that. But on this one, there's a hole in it. So there's another one that wore out. So I guess I wore out 4 out of the 7. Now on the light gray, I wore these 62 times and I washed them 63 times. So they got a little bit more use than the dark gray, but I did not even notice that hole. Going to the Andean moss, I wore these 62 times and I washed them 63 times. Might as well just go right to the heel to see if there's any holes. Nope, no holes. So these held out. The American-made alpaca, this is their variation green. I wore these and washed them 52 times, and they did not wear out. The Darn Tough Midway Tactical in Foliage Green, I wore them 56 times, washed them 55 times, or I'm sorry, I washed them and wore them 56 times each, and you can see there's no holes, there's no thin spots. I was expecting these to hold out because I've had a very good experience with Darn Tough socks. These are the ones that I would recommend the most. It's 2 days later. This morning I was editing the video. When I got to this part, there were some things that I said that I wasn't sure were entirely accurate. I should have done my research before I started filming, but I decided to stop editing at that point and to go online and check on a few things with regard to the PAKA Apparel socks and the American-made alpaca socks. And it turns out that something has changed since I started this test, and it's relevant to an objective review of the PAKA Apparel socks. So I decided to reshoot this part of the video. So with regard to the PAKA Apparel socks, they actually did better than I thought. I wore these socks a little bit more than any of the others, and I didn't go easy on them. But despite the fact that 2 out of 3 pair of socks wore holes in them, they lasted longer than I thought. And no socks are going to last forever. The socks were comfortable, the stitching held out well, and there was very minimal shrinkage. The same thing with the merino wool. There was very minimal shrinkage. As far as the difference between merino wool and alpaca wool, I don't notice a difference in the comfort, the way it feels. I just didn't notice a difference. So if there's supposed to be some sort of difference, I'm just not seeing it. So the fact that they're alpaca wool isn't really a selling point for me. I don't like the fact that they're not made in America. Now, these socks are made in Peru. PAKA Apparel has a distribution center in the United States, but I'm not supporting American jobs by purchasing these when there are other socks out there that are in that same price range that are made here, like the American-made alpaca, the Midway USA socks, and the Darn Tough socks, as well as other brands. So I didn't like that about the socks. I try to buy American as often as possible. I know that doesn't matter for some people, but it matters for me. That doesn't mean I don't own anything that's made in other countries, but I usually buy American first. Other than that, the only thing about them that I didn't like was the fact that they didn't have a warranty, at least at the time that I started this test. Since then, Alpaca or PAKA Apparel has a lifetime warranty on their socks. So I went online and tried to log into my account, and I forgot my password. So I did the forgot password thing. They sent me an email. I did a password reset. It was very easy. I got into my account. I looked at my order history. It showed the dark and light gray socks, and they don't qualify for the lifetime warranty because they were purchased before that was in effect. But now they have a lifetime warranty. So despite the fact that they're not made in America, because they have a lifetime warranty, I would recommend these to somebody who wanted a comfortable, durable pair of socks, especially if you're an outdoor enthusiast or if you're on your feet a lot. I do plan to buy another pair of PAKA Apparel crew socks, and if and when I have to use their lifetime warranty, if I have any issues, maybe I'll make a video about my customer service experience. With regard to the American-made alpaca socks, they were comfortable, durable, and they held up. They didn't wear out. I like these socks, and I like the fact that I'm supporting American jobs by purchasing these socks that are in about the same price range as the other socks. However, they don't have a warranty, and that I don't like. I am planning on buying another pair in the future, but I may not buy a lot of these if they don't ever get a lifetime warranty. Time will tell. As far as the Darn Tough socks, that's my go-to brand. That is the one that I would recommend to anybody, and that's only because I've done other sock durability tests and they have held out better than any other brand I've tried. They're made in America, they're competitively priced, and they have a no-hassle lifetime warranty. I really like these socks. The Midway USA socks didn't really hold out well, but they're American made and you get 2 pair for the same price or less than some of the other socks that are here. So if you're just looking for some inexpensive American made socks and you don't care about a warranty and that sort of thing, then they've got a pretty good value. The Browning socks are something that I ordinarily wouldn't buy, but they held out better than I thought. They were very comfortable. They didn't shrink. If I get another free pair, I'll take them. Otherwise, though, I probably would never purchase those. And last, I'd like to talk about the Ener-Gel insoles that I tested out during this evaluation. Guys, I like these insoles. They're affordably priced, they're American made, they're comfortable, and they're durable. The last test I was doing was doubling up on a set of the work insoles. In the past, with other brands of insoles, I've had a few instances where one set of insoles just didn't work. It didn't provide the support, my feet weren't more comfortable, and I had to double up on them to get them to work. I wanted to see if it would make any difference doubling up on the work insoles. And initially, I didn't notice any difference. They weren't more cushiony, my feet weren't any more comfortable. About the only thing I could say is that it increased the interval between having to change out insoles, because I got almost 7 months out of these insoles before I concluded this test, and it was right around that time that my feet were starting to hurt on the days that were longer, the days that were over 11 hours. So that's really about the only advantage. Otherwise, with the 3 different types of Ener-Gel insoles that I tried out, all 3 worked with just one set in the boots, so there's no need to double up on them. Out of the 3 styles of Ener-Gel insoles that I tried out, the one that I liked the most were the Green Earth. I didn't really care for the Cushion Maxx. I thought that those would be the most comfortable and last the longest, and they just didn't. I'm not saying they're bad insoles, but out of the 3, those came in last. Next were the work insoles, which I thought were comfortable and gave a pretty decent lifespan. The ones that I didn't think would do well at all were the Green Earth, and surprisingly, I thought these were the best. They lasted the longest and they were the most comfortable. These are the ones that I'm primarily going to go to. As a matter of fact, I've got 2 more on order right now. So I absolutely would recommend Ener-Gel insoles. I'll include a link in the description section of this video to the Paragon development website where you can check these out for yourselves. And if you'd like to order some, they're available there and on Amazon.com. So this concludes this evaluation, and now I can get rid of these socks with holes in them, keep the socks that are still in good shape, and in the morning I don't have to write down what socks I put on that day and what I did with them. I also don't have to worry about holding on to the socks before I put them in the sock drawer to make sure that I wrote down what day they were washed. Thanks for watching.